to order the DDA meeting of July 18th, 2022. It is now 6:30 p.m. Robin, would you do the roll call?
Yes, Oxman.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Heaney.
Yep.
Valdez.
Here.
Bortles.
Here.
And Risch is absent.
Okay. Approval of the July 18th, 2022 agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was unanimous. Is there any public comment from our public? Aye. We have this evening our noted mayor. Okay, the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes of the June 27th, 2022 business meeting. Could I have a motion, or were there any edits?
Since I wasn't here, I'm going to let somebody who was speak up if they think there's some, if those work.
I don't think there were.
Move to approve.
Move to.
Thank you.
Second.
And- okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. City of Golden Special Events Review Committee.
So I'll take this one. So this is a committee, although it's not like the other committees that you're going to assign yourselves to or volunteer or get voluntold later at the next meeting. This is a short-term committee. The Special Events Review Committee is made up of various folks that you can see listed, and it's sort of been revitalized and given sort of a new charge by City Council to really be even more involved in evaluating and approving and working with special events. So a DDA rep is needed, but just so you know, so we just thought we'd handle this one a little bit separately because the committee meets from June. Karen volunteered to go to the June meeting through October, so it's not a full year commitment like the other committees. So just to go over, includes city staff from special events in the communications department, the parks department, Visit Golden, a downtown business owner, separate from the DDA rep, a Golden resident, and then there's a Golden events ambassador, which is somebody involved in the business of events in Golden, a private person, Joy Gesser, and then board members from PRIM and DDA. So I know there was a little confusion last time. So a DDA rep is very much requested and needed to provide that perspective, separate from the business. I forget at the moment who the business rep is. So we thought it was you, but I think you have a conflict on Wednesday mornings. Would you still like to be it? You could be the business owner and not the DD rep, or you could be the DDA rep and not the business owner. That's something. So the meetings are the last.
Sounds like it's
the last Wednesday of the month, June to October, Wednesday at 8 a.m. in this room. And it's not a heavy lift or something, but all those perspectives are really, really valuable to looking at events. And we were just saying there's lots of stuff happening, and so good, really strategic thinking on events. Established ones, new ones that might not make sense anymore are really, really important. And the other additional responsibility is there is a city special events grant program separate from the DDA special event grants program. So there are events that happen in the city that are actually either for a larger group or actually not in the DDA. Like Lions Park is not in the DDA. So like things that happen there, July 4th, that's not the DDA. But anyway, that grant program had been administered by the city manager's office, but now it's moving into the Special Events Review Committee, which makes a lot of sense, actually. So just wanted to pull this one out of the other committee assignments in the annual meeting to see if there was somebody who might like to volunteer for that short-term commitment.
I can do the DDA spot because I'm sure nobody else wants to. I've already sat on the board. I understand how it works. Wednesdays, I can do it.
Great.
So I'll do the DDA side, and then that just means they need to fill the business owners.
Yes, and I have to think for a second who the business owner is.
Mm-hmm.
can't think for a minute.
Well, if it was
'Cause-
him, it's nobody else. I mean,
So then it would be,
Who was?
John.
Oh,
I think I was DDA.
You were the DDA.
Last year, yeah.
right, so then I have to talk to Diane about who she might have been talking to be the, if you are going to be this, she has some people that she's been talking to that would be good non-DDA downtown business rep.
Yep. I said Claire for the record, I said Claire from Tributary should do it, but she doesn't own the business. But she manages it.
That's
She's the
not
chair.
necessarily a requirement, but
Right.
I'll let Diane know that, so thank you for.
Or Melissa.
What was
One of
that?
the two. Or Melissa. They
From
both-
Tributary,
From
yes,
Tributary.
yep.
I think one of those two would be a good fit.
Okay, well, thank you, Noah. And I'll let Diane know. She's like, let me know tomorrow morning.
you want me on?
You beat me to it.
Hey, just real quick, Rob, this memo for the June 27 meeting, just change it on the memo.
Oh, thank you.
July
Thanks for, yep, thank you so much, right here.
Good trick to write it on July 14th.
Thank you. I will go back and amend the packet
That's all
to
right.
have that. Thank you for pointing that out, Dean. Yay.
Okay, commissioner comments and updates? Anything from the right side of the table?
No?
Casey?
No, nothing here?
Jonathan?
Just while we're talking special events, I thought it was curious, we didn't have a Mopar block party, and I know that's been,
They didn't apply?
that.
They didn't apply?
okay.
Oh, really?
Because I know there was also on the special events committee a discussion of what feedback we wanted to give them on how they should change. So I hope we didn't scare them off. So that's my comment.
Could
Yeah.
talk- We can
Yeah.
talk to, you could talk to
Sure.
Diane
Yeah.
about that, but they did not apply.
So they didn't have, obviously didn't have it this year, huh?
I can't say whether anything is happening at Vandermeer. They did not apply to have anything in Golden. Anybody, other comments? Dean, Noah?
I have no comment. But Diane would know the
Yeah,
specifics
I'll
of
ask.
that for sure.
I mean, I know they didn't apply. I don't know about other stuff.
That's all she said. I had emailed her.
Maybe it went to Morrison?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No?
Not the party.
Oh,
The
okay.
event was large.
Yeah, it was packed.
Yes.
470.
I'll tell you, I'll have a comment on a related note, and I brought this up at the Visit Golden meeting. So the farmer's market, the Chamber Farmer's Market has to be canceled the week of Buffalo Bill Days. For the simple fact, maybe it's more complicated than this, but for the main reason is because of the parade, the Buffalo Bill Days parade. And a couple of things, just so everyone's kind of knowledgeable. The produce is, kind of peaked right then. All the vendors are kind of expecting to be there. It creates some issues. So I recommended to Rob and Rick that this really be looked at for next year to solve it to where we can continue the farmers market every weekend and not have this highest in the middle of July or at the end of July, and figure a way out to have the routing of the parade or something, to where both can cohabitate, if you will. So what they're going to do is they're going to do plus another reason, the SNAP, the farmers market, they SNAP and all that, so people are accustomed to getting, that's a decent amount of people do that. So now they're doing, we have a pop-up at Golden High School's parking lot the weekend of Buffalo Bill Days, but it's just produce only. But it's still kind of off the beaten path, people, how do we get, So I just wanted to because that's in the DDA area, I believe. But just want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
I don't think it is.
Maybe
the
it's
farmer's
not.
market? It's not in the DD.
But the Buffalo Bill Days
Oh, yeah,
is, so it's
absolutely.
kind of, it's still in the area. So
Yeah.
just so you guys know about it. So,
Who made the decision?
well, the
To not do
committee,
both.
or something, I
I
don't
think
know.
it's always been that way.
It's always been that way.
It's always been,
We just didn't, we had a hiatus last year with the no Buffalo
Oh,
Bill
yeah.
Day, so we got used to that.
that's right.
Can't do the parade on Sunday.
It's interesting. I have done the SNAP at the table, and like in a 3-hour shift, I thoroughly expected more than what we were getting for SNAP. It might only be maybe 5,
Oh, that's it?
maybe 6 in a 3-hour period. I usually do the 8 to, let's see, 8 to what? 8 to 11, I
If you did
guess.
3, 8 to
Are there
11.
other ones, because I'm just based on what Nola told me. Nola said there was like SNAP, and then there's another name for something else.
Double up food.
There's a
and
double
WIC.
up food comp.
And WIC.
Yeah.
And okay,
Women,
it's like
infants,
and
three,
children.
right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Double up.
It's just, it doesn't,
It's not that big. a
you've
deal.
got a sheet of paper like this, and it never fills the whole sheet. So, yeah, and I think it is valuable. I mean, but you know what? The other thing is they give their zip code, and I haven't seen many of Golden zip code.
Really?
Yeah, they have to give you the card, and you have to write the number. It's
So
quite a,
They're traveling.
yes, they're traveling for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's also something to consider. I had not seen an 80401 or an 80403. They're traveling. Yeah, I'm sure she does. Yeah. So, but I do know the Buffalo Bill Days is now, this year is, the food trucks are not allowed to be on 10th. And so everything has to be contained within Parfit Park, which is going to squeeze it down a little bit. Maybe we won't be selling aluminum windows and, some of the other stuff that maybe it could have been eliminated. But it's going to be contained a little more. And if it's contained a little more, the only thing that would be a problem would be the parade, because it does line up. And you wouldn't be able to get to the farmer's market. And I doubt they'll ever get rid of the parade. It was all we could do to get it shortened from 3 hours down to what it is. So,
I think it's where it starts, like on that part of 10th and comes around. I think that's the main reason, I think.
yeah, from 10th to Washington. Mhm. Anybody else? Okay, staff report?
Well, not much to discuss on the budget tracker, other than the typical mysteries of life. So we estimate the property tax based on the information that the county gives us. They give us preliminary information in August and final information in December for assessed value. So you would think it would be easy to calculate what we're going to get. But you might notice in line 9, property tax increment, well, anyhow, it's $14,000 of revenue over budget already, and that's virtually all because there's not much comes in after June payments, July disbursements to us. And one reason could be that the county did not lower their mill levy like they've done every other reassessment year because of Tabor. They raised their mill levy by 1.5 mills. Then the other one that I can't explain why is the 5 mil property tax never comes in based on the assessed value that they give us, which is, it's just take the assessed value, divide by 1,000 and multiply by 5. It's pretty basic. But there are ongoing appeals of valuation that happen, and sometimes people just don't pay their taxes on time. They pretty much balance out, but our budget for 5 mil property tax is 305 this year, and we're only at 287, which could mean there are some late payers in downtown. But the increment was budgeted at 220, and it's in at 234. The big change, of course, will be the sales tax. I'm afraid to calculate it at 4 times what we got in the first quarter, because that would be really high. The highest we ever got before was 166 in 2019. But it certainly will be way higher than it was budgeted. And then we did receive some grant revenue that we were waiting for the past many months from CDOT, which I didn't think was going to pass through the expenses have been made by the city for that, because it's a project that it's one of those contribute to city capital line items here. But it was nice that CDOT finally gave us that money. And other than that, we're just, Robin has made a bunch of grant payments, or a few grant payments that aren't reflected here. When you approve grants, sometimes it's many, many months before we pay them out, depending, because they're all reimbursement type grants. So,
Is that 38,000, is that what you're talking about, Steve?
yes,
That's not in this budget item?
it's not showing, and it wasn't intended to pass through the, I didn't intend it to pass through the DDA. I intended it to go straight to the city, because the city's already spent 50 on design and poles and all sorts of the preliminary work on the Miners Alley lighting. So it needs to go to the city. Our share was going to be the additional that's shown on here for this year.
Okay.
But we'll know more in coming months. Secondly, MTAB this month, which I think is a week from Thursday, is going to see the modeling of the downtown intersections, the Washington Avenue intersections, for the question about signals versus other versions of downtown. And Casey, I'm sure, has seen this before, the modeling that we did actual counts of pedestrians crossing, and for the grant application that I submitted to the Denver Regional Council of Governments, I was shocked. At 12th and Washington on a Thursday in April, there were 550 crossings in 1 hour. You know, and if somebody crosses one way and the other way, that counts as two, but that's how many crossings were from the 4 different directions. And then on the subsequent Saturday, there were 1,200 in the noon hour. That was the peak hour of the day. So when Joe Poor puts all of those pedestrians in the model, so it's the little simulated model where the cars go, and they have buses and trucks and cars and pedestrians, and it's at double, triple speeds. The pedestrians are running across the street. Joe's early indication is what he's taking to MTAB crashes, and the traffic backs up for blocks in the stop side version. But even though we've applied for grant funds to upgrade 10 signals in the downtown area, all of them within DDA except 19th and Illinois, Council wanted to see additional information about the analysis of making it a mall, having stop signs instead of intersections, getting rid of the middle left turn lane, things like that. So that will come to you. That's the memo I gave you last month. That will come to you in the future after it goes to MTAB.
Can you discuss a little bit what's the difference between the modeling that Joe's doing and the modeling that was in the memo that showed the performance?
It didn't have pedestrian counts.
Oh, okay.
We hadn't done the counts yet.
Okay.
And so that's why there was a sentence that said, well, we don't know how this will interact with actual pedestrian activity.
Okay.
I remember Noah asked, as the new, these acronyms, MTAB.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mobility and
Advisory Board.
Transportation.
no, I was hearkening back to memos to people
Yeah.
about federal funding.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's 3 or 4 pages of them. Yes, there is another board that we have a lot of indirect relationship with, called Mobility and Transportation Advisory Board. So we could have one of those jars where you put $1 in it. I would owe the most for. Oh, if you call it Washington Street, you owe $2. And if I give you an acronym without explaining what it is, I owe $1. Because Washington Street instead of Avenue is much more egregious.
Right.
Okay, then the last thing, the other one that I was mentioning was you've had 3, as we move into budget season and we appoint our committee people in the next meeting, you had 3 implied or direct funding requests last month. And also, there are things going on that you could decide that you want to start spending money on some capital. So, Casey, the Visitor Center Board, Miners Alley, and Foothills all thinking there was lots of money left in the Legacy Fund, which there isn't, suggested that Legacy Fund / DDA should be thinking about giving them additional funding for their capital projects. But in addition, the city is in the early stages of designing bathroom upgrades for both Parfit Park and 12th Street. I'm not sure which one they want to do this year. Robin and I saw a really conceptual sketch of the 12th Street one. I continue to think it's a good idea to make those minor modifications to the intersection end of the planters to accommodate the, as per our walkabout. So the suggestion is that,
The garbage can.
I was gonna say this, can we have the Civic Foundation plaque from 1970? No, or the plant, I was thinking the planters on the other side.
never mind. Okay. That August might be the time to start talking more policy-related about your budget for next year, as opposed to just, making budget projections. We can make revenue projections, and they're generally pretty good, even though they're never exact, but such is life. But I would think that you'd want to start talking about that, because those three entities will wonder whether we're going to respond to them at some point. We've told them, don't expect any answer quickly. And the direction that the board was taking was to try to build your reserves. And your reserves at the end of this year right now are looking to be over $800,000, but that's certainly not unlimited. And our revenues, sometimes I vary between yours and ours, but the DDA's revenues will go down after 2024 unless there's a new sales tax increment deal with the city negotiated. So it would be appropriate to be prudent with our revenues. So that's something we're suggesting for August or September, depending on how your agenda goes. And then just the standard DDA project updates. I mentioned restrooms, I mentioned the planters. I mentioned last month that I believe the city will pave Prospector's Alley from 14th to 15th. It raised the question about Prospector Alley improvements down in town if we start talking about capital improvements. So any questions about those items?
I have a question about the trash. It's not one of those items, but if they start picking up the trash on the weekend, the Sunday and all that,
Yeah, the new contractor has started.
is there a way that businesses could even pay to participate in Sunday pickup with them? Because it's still a disaster in certain areas, and it's,
I don't know.
because nobody picks up on Sundays except for this company you guys got.
Well, we should bring it up, and I had anticipated that we'd have that conversation. I was not aware that no one has had it with them yet.
Because kind of what, so let's just say for sake of discussion, Republic or Waste Management, whoever you have, gets there at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Well, you still got all Saturday trash, Saturday night, Sunday trash, and by the time Monday hit, today hit, like today was a disaster. And there's nothing you can do about it.
It's the Sunday thing, but
Can we switch over to using that company for all of your pickup?
I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They,
What's the name of the company?
it's not a regular hauler. I can't think of the name. It's not like Waste Management or Republic.
and so they can't haul the stuff to the dump. The dump's not open on Sunday.
Right.
So they can't haul it on Sunday. They're using city dumpsters to put it in. But, we've always hoped and wished that eventually there was a system that would work for commercial users downtown to increase recycling, to add composting. And one barrier, there's lots of barriers, most of them related to the haulers, but one barrier is that the city can't mandate it, so it would need to be something that was desired by the business community enough, and then maybe transition over time, because they'd have to not renew their contracts with the haulers. But it's something sustainability has always been very interested in. We were kind of in a hurry to get this company, and it turns out, even though it's not the one who was doing it for us for the last few years, it's the company that's been maintaining public restrooms for the last couple of years for the city.
And like the out parks too.
Their name their acronym is MMI. I don't know what it stands for.
I even went back to like Republic as movies, and I looked to see if we could get like a trash compactor. You know, for the recycling side, and they looked into it for, but they can't. Because then the next step, I would come to you and say, can we get electricity in there? But they can't because of the way it's located. They got like peg it. You know, they can't. The configuration's not right for a compactor that they could provide.
So the contract was negotiated by Sustainability and Parks and is being managed by Parks. So we will go back to those folks and ask, rather than trying to contact them directly, since we don't know them. We will bring it up.
I have a question for Dean. So what is being done now is we're having trash collection and recycle collection on the avenue, right?
Well, it will when the new containers come.
When the new, okay. But you're
Recycling.
talking about your business trash that's in the back, right?
Our business and other businesses.
Other
like
businesses.
We let, as of right now, there's other businesses that just use it for free, which it's another story. That, anyway, there's other, it says that's why I'm almost going to have to say you can't use it anymore, but we're letting them use it. And then in addition to that, you got the mortuary that now has a trash dumpster. And if that becomes a restaurant, you're going to have the same issue on Sundays. And then I just got a request to approve, to sign, and say I'm in agreement as a good neighbor, where the antique store is, they're going to put a dumpster against the property line and the alley line.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the proposal piece. I don't know if everybody's going to agree to it, but right
I mean,
there
from
in
the
the alley.
developer? The developer made that?
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Temporary or permanent?
permanent, or whatever, that's going to get redeveloped to. So it's just going to be a heaping, Sundays are going to be a heaping trash pile.
Right, and it all surrounds your patio.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Flies.
oh, my.
Yeah, but,
Oh.
exactly. So it's just, there's not really like a grand solution for the, I don't know what the solution is, maybe there's not one, but it would be nice if there was something, some thinking like,
I mean, that's not a terrible idea, though, to have some space with roll-offs that we pay somebody to fill on Sundays.
Yeah.
If that proof of concept works, expand it to recycling, compost, whatever.
yeah, it'd be great.
Because, yeah, that, one of the, I know we're kind of getting off topic here, but one of my problems with the city's Republic contract is I think there was some loose language in there like, oh, well, you'll provide businesses some opportunities to join. And they never followed through with any compost service to any business. So there's one company that does it and they hold all the cards to waste diversion.
I think the haulers are always very challenging to
Oh,
work
yeah,
with.
big time, yeah, big time.
Wow.
Anyway, so I would support the city and sustainability and us collaborating to find a solution, because I agree, we have Sunday problems all year round.
And there's no solution of getting the dump to operate on Sundays?
I don't think so.
It's mostly the mafia.
Probably not.
So there's always a solution.
We're on camera.
So I hear.
Can I ask a question about one of the projects here?
Please.
So the restroom redesigns, I'm just curious, are you, is the city taking into account, the one on 12th Street, are they taking into account these two projects that are happening in this block as far as, I guess incorporating like what that movement looks like for these, once they're renovated? I guess instead, because I think it will change drastically once those two projects are done, and maybe any future redesign possibly of that as like a art district and whatnot. So I'm just curious, is it like a major renovation or is it a,
Well, as envisioned, well, there were two versions sent to us. One that was an increase in size that would have been disruptive to an existing trash enclosure
Right.
and eliminate parking. It would have
Speaking
required
of.
it to be rebuilt, not at your cost. The other one is a very slight increase in order to make the stalls ADA accessible.
oh, okay,
But it would not, they're not intended to increase capacity, they're intended to increase usability and decrease undesirableness
okay, so it just sounds pretty minor.
operations. Well,
Well, it's
there's
still
no such
expensive.
thing. It's minor.
Okay,
Like for like.
but you're not like tearing it down, rebuilding a whole nother structure.
No, the version that I think is more likely moves the north wall north 2 feet in order to, which I don't know how they do that with the roof the way it is.
Okay.
But in order to make the stalls ADA compatible, you know, you need to
Yeah.
be able to
Turn radius.
turn radius
Okay.
within the stall.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to make
So-
sure we thought about that bigger picture in less than 2 years that's going to
That's a good
transform.
point, because it's still gonna be really expensive, I can imagine, even just doing what you guys just mentioned. And probably re-outfitting the fixtures, because I remember we talked about a while back, similar remodel, it was still a lot of money. So that's a good point, because if you're gonna, why spend all that money now, if it could be an opportunity to do something different, maybe even a different location or whatever. And this all kind of sounds like mysterious, but there's just like some big ideas that might happen, could happen there.
Yeah.
But, so the budgeted numbers, which I fear are not sufficient, are $500,000
Oh.
each for each one.
Oh, wow.
One in
It's a nice
22, one in
mattress.
24, one in 26.
Not even that nice, no. I'm sure it'll be better, but, you know.
If there was a thought to, so the deal with Parford Park, though, is that the same things exist, the same issues exist, but not for a cultural block, but for transit. Under the assumption that there will likely for many, many years still be rubber tire transit going through there, and how can it serve transit users better, whether it's some sort of an outdoor shelter or information or what. If both of them wanted to wait for more information, then that leaves the third one down there that probably could go first. But I just became aware of this last Monday afternoon, so yeah, we could go. So we could be asking these questions.
But that goes back to that discussion of your spending priorities.
Yes, and I would have to say that the Parford Park restrooms definitely are getting more use than they've ever had in their life, because no one is being allowed to use the restrooms in the visitor center. Of course, the visitor center is saving on toilet paper and soap and paper towels, but
And custodial.
everybody, and what?
And custodial service.
And, right, and cleaning services by the volunteers that work there, because everybody is told that the bathrooms are across the way. And
Is it
with all the
something that the city-
tubers,
Is it something that the city has to provide?
no, but it's probably
Public
not.
restrooms? It's not like a state mandate or anything. It's a nice thing to do.
Probably a better alternative. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, than what I've seen happen.
Nothing is not a great
I've been to
option.
the bathrooms behind Old Capitol Grill. Like, I don't think that they're that run down or like.
And I had thought Parford Park was first in line, and it may still be, but the drawing we got last Monday was for 12th Street.
But
should at
then
least find
again,
out what
all
this-
of the new establishments, or the redo of the Astor House and the redo of Miners Alley and the redo of the restaurants on the corner, they're all going to have restrooms in their facilities. So,
For customers only.
for customers only. But probably if you're wandering around in there, you're going to be a customer somewhere, I would think.
We'll try to get more info on what order the city had been thinking about, and are they actually thinking, it's getting late in the year to think you're going to do it this year if they don't have design done. So I'm glad that we had this conversation.
Okay. We're back to public comment, Laura. Still nothing?
And nothing here.
Okay. Items that may affect another board or commission. Seems like we're all intertwined.
So one of the committees that you'll be talking about is the Legacy Fund Task Force. And even though our current IGA says that whatever's left in the Legacy Fund at the end of this year goes to the DDA, one of the wrinkles is that one part of what's left in the Legacy Fund at the end of this year is an account receivable from the COVID loans. It's not actual money. So I think that the GURA half of the task force is going to meet and decide if they want to have a meeting and what ideas. So that's a board that I think will have at least some near-term conversation with about wrapping up that fund. Intergovernmental agreement. I don't know.
And just a little plug, you might like to take the PAC Community Art Survey that I sent a link out to.
I did it.
Thank you, yes, I saw that.
So, yeah, there,
You're heavily involved in art.
and did you send the board the itty bitty stuff, this board?
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think I have. I'll send the itty bitty stuff.
There's
That has been more fun.
14 tiny little art installations in the downtown area that you have to go look for.
They're concentrated.
I probably sent 40 people that visited the visitor center on Sunday, between 10 and 1, my shift, and out to look for them.
The permanent brochures went to the printers, are going to the printers today, and we're also adding tiny little decals with a QR code. So when you're crouching down, you can do this, and it'll take you to the city's webpage of the art.
It is really, that is the most fun idea I've seen in Golden for years. That has just been a real kick, and the kids have enjoyed it.
Can I ask
So
you-
fun.
Noah and I were chatting one day about the visitor center, and since you volunteer there, what kind of, who goes there? Is it like out-of-town guests, people who wants to, because what we were talking about, people, so Noah asked, well, you get your phone now if you wanted to figure out where restaurants are and all that, so I'm just curious what your perspective is on that.
Is this too much off topic, or
Oh, no.
is it okay if I
Sorry,
answer?
Of course,
Okay.
yeah, you're the chair.
I don't want to do anything wrong. So, just this past Sunday, I would have to say, between 10 and 1, we had 122 visitors in. Probably, a lot of them are signing the guest book. We're asking them to sign the guest book, see where they're from. So probably half are from out of state, came here for something, found their way to Golden, and they were just like, this is amazing, this town is wonderful. I mean, glowing reports. And we give them a golden ticket. We show them the map and where the little stars are. This is where you can, how it works. We get foreign visitors very, very often. Usually in a 3-hour shift, I see people from at least 3 different countries that come in. And yeah, it really is. It's fun. It really is fun. They want to know what to do. We've got 2 hours to kill before we have to leave to go to the airport and turn in our car. What can we do? Well, the itty bitty art project was wonderful because it was so hot. You didn't want to send them on a 2.5-mile hike to the tunnel. They want to know where to hike. They want to know where to eat. They have information about the altitude. How's it going to affect me? I mean, the questions are amazing. They really are. I mean, some are ludicrous, like when did the deer turn into elk? That was something. Because they just didn't have a clue about deer and elk. Everybody that comes in has very positive comments about our community, and it's great to hear. People look at the sign that says a bike rental and ask questions about that, since we haven't had anybody to manage that, because that was
That
incredibly
sign is supposed to be
popular.
coming down. I'll double check.
Well, it was so popular. 2 hours free to take a bike and ride along the trail, and you'd be amazed at the number of people, families that would do it and just ride and be back maybe in an hour. But
It was the bike library
It was
thing?
the bike library.
Yeah, the bike
Yeah.
library.
And
Staffing.
people take pictures of it and say, we're going home and take this idea back to our great. And, yeah. Am I answering your question?
No, yeah, that was great. That was great.
But it's just, it's really an amazing place to spend some time.
I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I don't think I've ever asked a volunteer that question. So that was
You
interesting.
probably haven't asked about the elk and deer. But, yeah,
There's
it's,
moose now in town, so.
Yeah. It is really fun because you get a variety of people, age groups. You get people that are handicapped, and it's nice to be able to say, you know, you can use a walker or a wheelchair on the trail. And they ask questions about, of course, now tubing, and is it safe, and, you know.
I think what our question was is like, most of the traffic that comes in there, is it just generated foot traffic, or is there a way to drive people who are coming into town to use this as a tool to enhance their experience?
Oh, absolutely. They come in, they park in the parking lot if they can get a space, and they come in and they want to know where this, that, or the other is. They
It's like
want
the
to know
first
where they can park longer term.
Yeah.
And they're pleased that I can direct them to 2 parking garages that are free on Sunday. So that, because that makes a huge difference. They oftentimes want to be outside, if at all possible, because they're going to be getting on a plane or driving somewhere else. We have such a wealth of information, you wouldn't believe. I mean, we have neighboring states, booklets on things to do in neighboring states in there. So it's wonderful. It's an asset. It really is. And we have a lot of locals that come in. I really think in a way that we should do more to get some locals, you know, have kind of an open house in there and invite locals to come in to see what we have and how much we do spread the word about Golden.
Thank you.
And enough of that. So, anyway, come in on a Sunday and visit me, and I'll tell you all about Golden.
Thanks for volunteering.
Oh, it's so fun. So, the next little bit is we need to adjourn to our annual meeting.
Can I
Oh, yes.
go back up to items that affect another board or commission? Because we kind of got off topic.
Yes,
And we didn't finish
I
that
did
one.
get off.
And no, it was a good topic, don't get me wrong. One thing that hit my radar that I just recently that I wouldn't have thought about much, but I should, is the community wildfire protection plan. That there's a lot of community meetings happening. And I think a lot of folks, like people like me that are residents but also spend a lot of time in downtown, we just assume we know it's a good plan, but I think businesses, especially in downtown, I mean, I think we've seen this where it was in Superior, in a blink of an eye, these major economic hubs got wiped out from a fire. And so I do think it's important that we, more people pay attention to these community meetings as far as looking at how this plan will actually get implemented, because I've heard it's a really great plan, but just taking it to that next step is important as economic vitality of Golden, just the downtown. I mean, I'm not all of Golden, but downtown particularly, the businesses to, I think, pay more attention to that.
It is a great plan, and I like the way they outlined on the map, they color-coded the areas that were of prime concern.
Yeah, the moderate and the high
Yeah.
risk.
Uh-huh.
So the next one is at DeLong Park on Saturday from 9 to 10:30. And I think that's the urban core one, because they're doing it by areas, but
9 to 10:30
that's something you don't want to
Saturday.
think about until well, you know this, you're building
I
fire
didn't
on
know there
fire.
was a
Quickly.
yellow coating, and I'm kind of worried.
Color coding.
Yeah, I'm kinda
Yeah,
worried.
and you can find the plan on Guiding Golden. It's right on the top there.
It's really
good,
amazing.
very informative. So if you just get a chance to even read it,
Yeah,
I think it's a great thing for businesses to really pay attention to particularly, so.
I lived on top of Mount Zion Drive when the mountain was on fire, and they knocked on our door at midnight and said, you need to get prepared to leave your house. It's pretty scary stuff. And it was on fire. And it is pretty scary
Yeah,
stuff.
so anyways,
So-
just something for businesses that otherwise wouldn't have paid attention.
And of course, when you think how lovely it is that we're surrounded by open space, but on the other hand,
Little fire, little.
yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So, okay. Motion to adjourn to the annual meeting.
So moved.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. So, call to
Go to your
order.
last page for your agenda for the annual meeting. No, Laura, there's a full agenda.
I have it on mine.
Okay.
I have annual meeting, one here. Okay, so call to order the Golden Downtown Development Authority Annual Meeting, July 18th, 2022. It is 7:14 PM, and a roll call
Okay, I'll go the other side. Oxman.
here.
Bortles. Valdez.
Here.
Heaney.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
I was about to call Rich, and Brown, but
Here.
Rich is absent. Thank you.
Okay, so we have to have the election of officers. So I would entertain a motion for moving somebody to the chair position.
Do you, are you able to run again? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one in the room is term limited as an officer.
Ever?
Ah.
Well, no.
No,
right
not now.
This time.
Well, in that case, I would move to elect once again our esteemed chair, Karen, for another round.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Okay. Would somebody like to nominate anybody else to run? Have
For
some-
chair.
If you're
Right
not,
now you're
if you're
talking-
not interested, I would nominate somebody, but if you're interested, I would.
I'd be more than happy to do it again,
Okay,
because
that's great.
it's not
Yeah,
a
Keep it
problem.
going.
yeah.
Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And we need to elect a vice chair.
I
And
would like
Casey.
to nominate our esteemed vice chair to do another round. I figure you may as well go for,
I
yeah,
think that's great.
max out.
Yeah, and then the next
The
year,
the nominator.
Yeah.
that's good. And then the next year, you'll be ready to, no.
I like the vice chair. I'm
The
like
vice chair.
I'm like the substitute. I like come in whenever I need.
Yeah, and I'm not gone that much,
Yeah.
but if I am, it's good to know that you're here.
And I kind of
So-
look up how meetings are run.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor of,
Second.
oh,
Thank you,
second.
Dean.
And, yep,
Yep.
got it?
Aye.
All right. Now, committee and liaison assignments with the current members listed. I'm listed on development and operations, and I don't believe that Dean and I have ever sat down and talked about development and operations, or
So-
it hasn't come up.
The name is kind of an anomaly,
Oh,
frankly. Like Gura used to have an operations, development and operations, so development was TIF agreements and dealing with requests from developers. And the reason we haven't had a meeting is there hasn't been anything new in the downtown core to generate a meeting. But operations had to do with like when they had their own staff and they were renting places to do business and stuff. So you might need one in the future, but the reason you haven't met is because we haven't had any TIF requests.
okay. But that could change with the sale of a couple of buildings coming up.
Or projects that are
Projects.
underway.
Right,
They're
okay.
not yet completed.
I mean, I'll just speak, those are usually pretty highly, I mean, they could be financial acumen oriented, very kind of, I mean, they're pretty deep, for lack of a better word. There's a lot of financial stuff in there, there's a lot of negotiation and then contractual stuff in there. So I would say, in summary, kind of a lot of financial stuff, a lot of legal stuff in there, if we have them, and we've had them, but we just haven't had them past year, so.
Okay. Well, the first year that I was on this committee was all remote,
Exactly.
so I never even met any of you. And then the second year, I became chair, so, interesting.
So traditionally, the chair has been on it, but it doesn't have to be. Some of these list 3 positions. This person vacant seems to be on a lot of them.
Yeah, they're not pulling their weight, or maybe they are.
We don't necessarily need 3, but sometimes 3 is good in case one person's unavailable. For this particular committee, if there's proprietary or confidential financial information, we would only have 2 people attend the meeting so that it would not violate sunshine laws. So, for example, it could continue to be Dean and Karen for the next year, with or without a third person.
For as little as that possibility will happen, I'd say keep it to 2 people, then keep the third vacant, unless somebody.
You could always go back, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So do we just see if everybody wants to continue in the spot that they're in? Is that?
We could do it committee by committee, sort of by acclamation, if you wanted to.
Well, that would be
That's a
fine.
term, right?
Yeah. Or we could just say, does anybody choose to be removed from one list or one group and
No,
put into another?
No, it needs
Noah's
to be
going to take the special events review.
Yeah, so we're going to put Noah on that.
I'll jump on the grants side of thing.
And JJ said she'd like to continue on grants. Would you like to continue on grants? So, okay, 3 is good. Those are all actually emails. You don't really meet.
Okay. Everybody else okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
And do you want to stay on as the Visit Golden liaison?
You go to those, don't you?
Yeah, I go to those. I
haven't.
go to those as a, you introduce yourself around the table, I say DDA, and then I say Golden Merchants, but it's the same, I could
Well, do you want,
both roles if you want.
do you want,
Do you want to have
Your
both of
name
you
on
on,
there?
both Dean and Noah on that, instead of,
John?
I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, I'm fine with being on there.
As alternate?
I'll jump off of that.
Okay.
you'll jump off of
Yeah, I can be on that because
physical-
I go there
He's-
anyway.
he's going anyways.
I've been going for
Okay.
years.
So Karen, do you want to stay on as like the alternate, the way you are now?
That would be fine,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, do we need Noah on some things here?
We have Noah on
Special
with
events.
the special
I
events.
see, I listed it again here, but you really took care of it a moment ago.
Yeah, but that's still not enough. No.
Sure?
I still think that's shirking. We got to get him at least one other thing here, don't we? Come on. There's a lot of vacants. We can find another spot.
Let's see.
Where is Brown on here?
Well, I should say, as city councilor, I abstain. I think you all should do it. And, but yeah, I think we should find another spot for Noah somewhere. Where do you think it makes sense?
Well, Noah,
Noah, what
where
do you
does it, what seems to fit you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said you only need 2 people for development operations, so I can put my name on there and never really have to do anything.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
you want to be the
There you
vacant?
go.
Perfect.
No, it can be on
Yeah.
the vacant.
No, it'd be good to,
That'd be really
You could be the
That's
alternate.
fine.
because even if we don't all meet together, we'd all be reviewing the
Yeah,
You have the action
Proposals.
for it, too.
On which one, Steve?
perfect.
development and operations is what Noah volunteers for.
Okay,
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Because at some point, you'll term limit out, right, Dean? So, I mean, like.
March.
Oh,
These two,
Oh, wow.
JJ and.
oh, JJ and
Not you, no, sorry, this person.
Casey?
No,
That's the best
No,
term
the
ever.
council of representatives to DDA and GURA are not term limited by our bylaws or any other document.
It's,
oh, but I am actually term limited from, I can't run again, and you're right, so I've got another.
So you'll be out.
yeah, you'll be, well, you won't
But
be
not
out
this
till
year.
you're
Are you running
no
this
longer-
year?
January of
She's- he's
24.
term.
January, yeah,
Okay.
right,
Okay.
yeah. But you never know, too, there may be other placements and things, too, right? So,
Right, those decisions are made every January.
Okay,
yeah, that's good.
so we have that all under control?
Yep.
Okay, then I move that we, or somebody needs to move.
Oh, I am happy to move.
You
Steve
can
has
move it.
been nudging this over my way. So
I
I
saw
move to
that.
go into executive session to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS Section 24-6-402, paren 4, paren E, regarding contracting relating to a potential intergovernmental agreement with the City of Golden for administrative and executive director services.
Second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,